explain the rise in the dollar rate and the Naira rate today. The rate at which they exchange today in favor of the Naira is purely government direct intervention.
That is what we're seeing now.
That's what we're seeing now.
The activities and
we're
policies
seeing
that the CBN
direct government intervention in the economy, in the market, to be able to see how they can stabilize, give more strength to the Naira as against the dollar.
How effective
because it's like putting me in the ring now with Joshua to fight a boxing. So I will need some aid to back me. So what government has done now is to put small aid to back the Naira, so that the technical knockout they've been getting from the dollar can be a little stabilized. So that's what we are seeing today, transcending into the rate being exchanged from about 2,000 Naira to a dollar to about 1,100 today. You know, what normally prevails is that people think it's just by mistake or by one way or the other. No, it's not. It's a phenomenon that for every international transaction, there are two exchanges. The first exchange is that you exchange your currency for the currency of your trading partner. Then when you acquire the currency of your trading partner, you do the second exchange, which is exchanging that currency you have acquired against the goods and services you want to buy from your trading partner. So if I want to buy a commodity from America, the American merchant will not take the Naira from me. So I will need to go to a market where I exchange the Naira with the dollar, which is their own currency.
Yes.
By the time I now exchange it, that's the first exchange. I bring back the dollar that I have sourced now to now go for the second exchange, which is to go and pay for the goods and services in America. So those are the two exchanges. Although it's crazy that the reverse is not the case, because in Nigeria, in Nigeria, everybody wants to grab the Naira, the dollar. So the dollar is almost becoming another legal tender in this country, which is absolutely wrong, and that's the trouble we are in.
Which brings us to the major question now. From the explanation you gave, which is quite detailed, we have an idea of how this works. But what the layman would not understand is why the price of commodities, goods and services went up when we saw the Naira falling against the dollar.
Yes.
And when we saw the Naira, the exchange of the Naira to the dollar rising, because it got close to 2,000, it was about 1.8.
Yeah.
Now we see the Naira, the price exchange rates to the dollar falling. It's about 1,100. But the price of commodities in the market are not falling like they ought to, as that when the Naira exchange rate was rising, when the price was going up with it almost at the same time.
Yeah, it can be explained. One, patriotism is key. Patriotism. Two is purely an interplay of the market. Now, for the interplay of the market, economic policies work with lag. There's a time lag between when you put a policy in place and when the result will terminate in the economy in terms of the effects be felt in the economy. So there's a time lag. Yes, we have seen government intervention in the market, foreign exchange market now, assisting the Naira to rise. It will take some time, a lag, before that would transcend into the market. For example, a commodity you imported hitherto today at that high rate of $2,000 to a Naira may still be with the merchant today. Now, until they go to the next market, where they will now buy at 1,000 Naira as against 2,000 Naira, they will not be able to sell the new rate.
But the time it was 1.5.
No, just give me some time.
Go on.
Just give me some time. So it will take some time between that's the lag, when the multiplier effect of this increase will be felt in the economy. Let's be fair to ourselves. On the other hand, which is where your concern is the issue of patriotism. Some people also will take advantage of this fall now, even when they have finished the new stock. They have the new stock they bought at the new rate to still sell at the old rate. That's the patriotism I'm talking about. That to what extent are we patriotic to say, look, before I bought this at 2,000 exchange rate to $1, Now I'm buying it at 1,000 exchange rate to $1. So I shouldn't sell what I was selling when I was buying it at 2,000. But in this side of the world, we have seen that once price goes up, it's difficult to come down. And that's where actual economic management comes into play. Yes, what you are saying is, if the reverse was the case, that the dollar the rate of the Naira was shooting up now against the
everybody
the
would just the prices would just be going up,
and they will tell you that because they want to go to market the next day, and they will need to buy at that rate. So what is important? To what extent are everybody in this country patriotic? We need that level of patriotism to say, look, we must help government to manage the economy, because economic management is everybody's business. It's everyday business. You manage the economy from your house to your community, to your LGA, to your state, and to the nation. That's why when we define the economy is not just what you see. The economy is the sum total of all the productive activities in a society. So if you take Rumekini is an economy. So the players in the economy of Rumekini, to what extent are they patriotic to help the economy of Rumekini to grow? The business you are doing here is an activity, it's an economic activity. So the woman hawking akara, the people selling cement, the people selling wood, all that defines the economy of Rumekini. And so you selling zinc or selling cement or selling food in Rumekini, to what extent are you patriotic to this movement in price regime and price rate? To what extent are you patriotic? So what we see is a situation where everybody in this country want to take advantage of everything that comes to see how they can exploit society. And that's why the Marxians were against the market economy, where private individuals own resources, that if you allow private individuals to own resources and allocate these resources, they will exploit society. And that's what is playing out. That's why they advocated for government, that government own resources, government produce goods and services, and government allocate resources through the central planning, which is what we know as socialism. But today we have a mixed economy where capitalism is more prominent than government ownership of resources and government allocation of resources. So that's where we are. So for me, I think where the situation we face today is that in actual terms and sense, we will need some time for the direct policy of government intervening in the foreign exchange market to transcend into the market to be able to prevail on price in terms of lowering the price, because economic policy does not work that way. And that will what give rise to the new classical economics, who are also called the rational expectation theories. They are saying that, yes, we agree that you can put this policy expecting society to behave this way. What if, as you put this policy, society does not behave that way?
What happens?
For example, if you decide to increase money supply, that increase in money supply is expected to reduce interest rate. As interest rate reduces, it's supposed to give signal for those needing loan that they will increase the demand for loan. Now, as they increase the demand for loan, it is hope.
Unfortunately, let me pause you there because we have a short commercial. We'll continue as soon as we return. Hold that thought. Mom's love is pure. It's so she 29 minutes past 8. The conversation continues. Dr. Peter Medee is with me in the studio. Wonderful economist, and he's been giving us perspectives to this. While the commercial was on, I've been asking him a few questions here, having a conversation, and even more perspective to this. Go on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH and join the conversation. There's a lot to learn, and perhaps it also helps us understand what we are experiencing at the moment in the country with the current gain of the Naira to the dollar. A lot of people are expecting that we should see a huge change, a drastic drop in the price of commodities. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be the case for most of the commodities in the market. I think there are a few of them whose prices have begun to come down. I'll be taking some of your messages on Facebook. Remember to also use the WhatsApp number 0809-030-6416. On Facebook, the question we're asking is whether you agree that the fall or rise of the Naira to the dollar alone should control the price of food and other commodities. My guest would also respond to this, but first, Doc, let's allow you to conclude with your last line of thought, where you were giving us an explanation.
I was giving an explanation about what we call the transmission mechanism.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that for people to understand that it's not rocket science. Economics is a science, just like medicine, just like law. It may have some art aspect of it, where your sense of judgment may either make you make mistake, your personal biases may also make you make mistake or get it right. It's just like what we passed through. We saw when a CBN governor that was supposed to be very objective enough threw us into the mess we went into. That today Naira now has both external exchange rate and internal exchange rate. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say, that economics is a science. So I was saying that there's a time lag when a policy can be introduced and when the implementation can trickle down into the economy. And I was using a situation where if you increase money supply, that increase in money supply ordinarily is expected to reduce the interest rate. That is the rate at which you borrow money in the economy. I'm not talking of deposit rate now. I'm talking of the lending rate. So if there is a signal that the lending rate is down,
people will take more loans.
That automatically should incite people or in people to go and take more loan. Now, people are expected to take more loan. If you take more loan, you are expected to take the loan to invest. So if there's an increase in demand for loan, there will also be an increase in demand for investment. Now, if you invest, you will now produce goods and services, meaning there will be an increase in output of goods and services, meaning you will also employ people. So when you employ people, the people you employ, you pay them salary. That ordinarily too will stimulate the aggregate demand, but it does not trouble the economy, because as you stimulate the aggregate demand, there's also corresponding output of goods and services they are produced. So it balances up with what we call automatic stabilizers.
That's the ordinary expectation.
Ordinary expectation. So the rational expectation theorists, which is also known as the new classicals, they are saying that what if
it doesn't go as planned?
The economic agent you expect to borrow more money do not borrow. Okay, what if they borrow and do not invest? They now use it to marry more wives and throw more parties. You may not expect that. So that's the rational expectation theory. So what I'm saying is that there's time lag between this policy, any policy to manage the economy, and when the effect will be fall in the effect in the economy. There's also what we call the causality rate. Oh, is it our unemployment problem that is leading to the exchange rate, that is leading to inflation,
the inflation,
or is it the inflation that is leading to unemployment? So the direction of causality is also a problem. So these things are things we manage in the economy. That's why people employ economists to manage. So it's not just anybody can just jump from anywhere to say, oh, I can manage because I know I was taught to demand in
demand and supply
in Sunday school. That's why Professor Kwakman of blessed memory now wrote a book and called Economics Beyond Demand and Supply. So there are economics beyond demand and supply. We need economic managers of this economy. Our economy is sick, and today We need managers. It's not everybody that can jump from anywhere to say, look, I can manage the economy. Managing the economy is serious business.
All right. It brings us to this, and I need you to clarify. I was asking you while the commercial was on, and I need you to explain so the listener gets it. There are people who feel that the problem we have is in the market where the woman selling fish. For instance, I went and bought plantain bole, what we call the normal bole and fish. And then the woman is selling, she bought a fish and then you cut it into 4 or 3 parts. You're selling one for me, 2,000. And then the full fish itself is about 3,000 naira. So if you sell 4 parts, that's about what you're selling up to about 8,000 naira is what you're selling for a fish you bought for 3,000. And people are saying, that's, and then she's telling you it's the dollar, because when she went to the core room or wherever to get that fish, this is how much. But I'm saying, regardless, you're still selling way above. The profit you're making is way above what you should be making. Too much of it. But then people feel like that's where we have a problem in the markets, where the woman selling tomato will sell and tell you that it's dollar, or the woman selling banana will tell you it is dollar. The woman selling orange will tell you it is dollar. Is it possible to manage that situation where we see the prices as a result of government intervention reflect in the cost of those food items?
Well, like I said, that economics is a science. Managing all this requires some technical expertise. Because when you say a woman in the market selling his orange or mango he plucked from his farm should not sell at a higher price, you also need to understand that the woman, as he sells his mango, he will need to go and buy matches. He will need to go and buy gas to cook in his house. And so he is also selling with the view that he needs to make the money that can enable him buy gas, whose price is high as a result of the exchange rate. So you see, there's a nexus between all these commodities. That's why managing the economy, not just at the micro level, which is one unit level, but also at the macro level, is key. So you see all these complex things. But in all, you also need economic agents to be patriotic, because this high profit expectation of everybody is driving everybody in such a way that you cannot moderate. People are not sincere. People are not honest. Yes, you bought this fish at 3,000. Why are you selling one piece at 2,000? What if you still sell one piece at 1,000? You will still make profit. So what's the margin of the profit you want to make determines all this. So every economic agent should be able to determine and explain what margin of profit you want to make, and then look at the signals in the economy to be able to do that. But possibly every economic manager should be able to read signals. You read signals of the exchange rate. For me, if I have $1 in my house to exchange, I read signals. I do a lot of speculative activities. Yes, I know that by month end, when allocation comes in, more people may have more money. A lot of them may want to send some of those money, convert some of those money into the dollar for the store of value. What that means is that by that month end, there's going to be an upsurge on the demand for dollar. So I will know that the dollar I want to change, instead of me to change today, why don't I change it about 30th or 1st, where there will be an upsurge. That upsurge will lead to an increase in the price of dollar. Then I can quickly change and come back. So for me, because I'm an economist, that's what I do. So everybody should be able to look at what you want to do in the economy and then look at it. And also too, Nigerians are very arrogant. What do I mean by that? Consumers are expected to be very sensitive to price. So if you go to this shop and a tablet of soap or a tin of milk that's supposed to be sold at 200 naira is being sold at 250, are you patient enough to walk away to the next shop to see if at the next shop it will still be the 250, or perhaps you get there it will be 200? It will be 200. But we are so arrogant that we are not conscious of ourselves to say, look, can I be a little patient to walk to the next shop or walk to the other one? By the time you walk away from that person who want to sell 250, the next person comes, walk away. The next person comes, walk away, and they don't come back. The person selling, there will be a signal to him that perhaps there's somewhere they're selling less than 250. And then they'll be able to come to he himself. Nobody will tell him, because nobody is buying from him, to reduce the price, especially if the nature of the commodity is something else. So what we are saying is that Nigerians too need to be a little patient and need to be humble and need to contribute to helping us do this. For example, how many Nigerians will have a toothpaste that is remaining small and will be ready to tear it open to scoop it? If you do that, you are saving your money, because in the next 2-3 days you would have been able to buy a new toothpaste today, but you will still use that paste for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 days. But arrogantly we throw it away. What of your soap? You are beating. Your soap is remaining small, it's not foaming well again. You throw it away. No, why don't you comment on the new one? And you will see that if the new one would have taken you for 10 days, it will now take you for 13 days with the one you gum on top. So you see, these are some of the things we need to do, and that's why they call it economy. They say we are stingy. We're not stingy. We optimize resources. We do optimization. So for me in my house, there's no way I would throw away that soap. I must gum it on the old one. I must open my paste and scoop it and use it for another 3-4 days. By the time I use it for another 3-4 days, perhaps the price that is high today, before I come to buy, the price must have come down. Because I didn't buy today, I have reduced the demand for that item today. And any reduction in demand against supply will have to tell on the price.
All right, one more question before we open the phone lines. I'm sure the listener has a lot to say. This is a question I would also want the listener to respond to. But first, I'd like you to give us your opinion about it. The fall or rise of the Naira to the dollar, is that the only, or should that be the only thing that controls price of food and commodities? Because for the person who's listening, everyone thinks that, it's not supposed to, the prices are supposed to change now because, the Naira is appreciating, it's gaining value against the dollar. We're supposed to see the price of commodities change. Is the exchange rate the only thing that determines the price of commodities?
Unfortunately, it's not the only thing. But it's a key determinant. It's key. You know why it's key? I tell you. Now, a trailer load of tomatoes coming from the north into Port Harcourt. You carry it on a trailer. The trailer gets to Lokoja and breaks down. They need to fix it. The part they need to use to fix it is imported. So when you say tomatoes is not imported, the parts to fix it is imported. They buy it with the interplay of the high dollar Naira rate. They finally fix it. They move.
And let's not forget to add fuel or diesel that runs.
The diesel, the fuel is also an interplay of the exchange rate. Now, as they are coming, do you count the number of checkpoints
that they pass?
That they pass through. They pass through to arrive. And each of those checkpoints, let's say they put 1,000, 1,000 Naira, 1,000 Naira, 1,000 Naira, and you have 50 checkpoints. That's 50,000. It will be put on the price of tomatoes. So you can see that the insecurity we have is also a problem. The people who are in the bush kidnapping people. Yes, you are kidnapping and making money, but you are putting a signal of insecurity for the police to be at that checkpoint. Because if you are not kidnapping, the police will not be there. If the police is not there, they will not collect the 1,000. You understand? So the bandits who are playing what they are playing for their good are also putting pressure on price. You understand? So it's not just exchange rate. There are so many factors. Insecurity. Somebody have planted something for a whole season. He needed to go to harvest it. He cannot go to harvest it because of insecurity. If he does not go to harvest it, he does not add to output. Can you see? Okay, to go to plant a new one, you cannot go. So look at insecurity. As common as you think it is, it's also a problem.
What about the price of diesel now? Because we're talking about this now.
That is
also discussing, does that work? Yes.
I'm coming to that. That cost of production. When you produce as a result of increase in cost, both in terms of diesel that powers it, or in terms of electricity that powers it, all that culminates into the cost, because profit is revenue minus cost. So if the revenue is constant and the cost is increasing, it will affect profit. So what you need to do is that if cost is increasing, then you will also need to increase your revenue, and revenue is price times quantity. So the price times the quantity determines your revenue. So if your cost is increasing unprecedentedly, you will also need to increase your price so that you'll be able to get your profit. Maybe even if you're not getting so much profit, you may break even, but you at a level that can keep you in production. So cost of production is also a problem. Government policy
Because I was going to come to that. I mean, we saw recently tariff increase for electricity for Band A users, which is where we have most of the manufacturers and businesses, and those people will be paying about 224 Naira for a kilowatt. And then we're also discussing the Dangote refinery diesel at 1,000 Naira, which many think, okay, good, but can't we have it lower? Because it still means that we might end up still buying diesel at 1,300, 400, which is still not very good for the manufacturers, and then in turn the end consumer who would still pay for all of this. How much impact these things have in the economy? Can we say that these things also contribute substantially to what the prices of commodities are at the moment?
Absolutely, that is possible. But what we need to look at is that beyond this direct government intervention, there's also the need for government not to continue that direct intervention, but to see what they can do to stimulate production, to put some other policies that can induce producers, maybe tax holidays and other that can induce producers to produce. Because it's until production is increased, production is stepped up, then this effort of government by direct intervention will not be complemented. We need it to be complemented with aggressive investment in manufacturing activities. So I'm looking at the manufacturing sector, the agri sector, the industrial sector, even the services sector. There is the need for aggressive investment in what we call the real sector of the economy, so that investment will not only create employment, but will also do more in terms of boosting output. An increase in output will do a lot to complement this policy, and then we can probably see that the dollar will come down. When you do this investment and some of this output on some of these goods and services that are hitherto being imported are produced in country, then we have a good way to go. For example, government also need to look at how to fix the refineries. They need to fix it. If they fix the refinery to complement what Dangote is doing now, and then there is some semblance of competition between government refinery and Dangote refinery, then if Dangote is looking at his price margin and saying 1,000 will do, maybe if there is competition, he will be able to see how he can bring it down. But for today, it's like a monopoly, and that's what
we can go on. We'll go on. There's still a lot to ask, but we have to take calls, because an example would be Dangote cement. Many think, I mean, the raw materials, everything, except maybe the instrument that was used to set up the factory, might be what we say. But for the cement itself, is all local. But people say, look at the cost of cement. We would come to that, but let's get what the listener has to say. I'm sure you have responses and questions to ask. And the question I put on Facebook was still asking you whether you agree that the exchange rate should be is the only factor that should determine the price of commodities. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003 and 0817-923-0007. My guest has said quite a lot, extensive and very detailed analysis. Naira gaining strength and prices of goods still soaring. Until anti-inflation policies are put in place, prices of goods and services will continue to soar. The fiscal and monetary planners need to come together and find solutions to the problem bedeviling this country. Acknowledge the causes of inflation before tackling it. This one says, good morning to your guest. I want to say that Naira appreciate is good, but even the Naira is still far from the dollar. Another side I think is making the price of foodstuff and items go higher is petrol. The price needs to come down so that transportation will come down and it will reflect in the cost of foodstuff. If government is determined to reduce price of goods and services, import and excise duties must be reduced, VAT must be reduced, and prices of fuel and diesel should also tremendously reduce. Ogo John Justice, you sent in that one. Okay, let's start with Timothy Woji. We'll start with you. Quickly, straight to the question and contribution so we can maximize the time.
Okay, thank you very much.
Go on.
So my question is the government saying stabilizing the economy. Meanwhile, the customs, their import duties is dependent on the dollar. Are they not also dollarizing our economy? Because whenever they say their importation rate, you always hear this exchanging to dollar. Why must they have to refer to dollar and still arrest people and say they are dollarizing our economy, why the government is also involved in dollarizing our economy.
All right, Timothy. Thank you.
That is what is very difficult for me to understand.
All right. Braid in Port Harcourt Town, quickly, straight to your question or contribution, quickly.
Yes, good morning to the great economy.
Good morning.
Thank you. What I want to also say, why is it that if expatriates come to a country like Nigeria, we pay them in dollars, but if our Nigerian citizens get to outside shore, they pay them also in dollars? What is the rationale over that? So I think for commodity to come down, the PMS also need to come down. And also the checkpoints, the security checkpoints, government need to also do something concerning that so that it will help the market price regulation. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. Akanto from Bori. All right, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, good morning, the organic economy. My take is very simple. I know that the economic we in the studio have analyzed and we are learning from what he is talking about. But my question is very simple. Why is it that those days when I was in secondary school, there was what they call public corporation, including NNPC, that government take over production of oil to ensure that the price of that commodity is of a bare minimum, or that the ordinary citizen can afford it. But today, like what you said before, we make contributions. You said the government should also go into production of oil, like Dangote are doing in the oil gas sector. So, what is the issue? Is it that the government does not have money to participate fully into the production of the commodities as the ordinary citizen need? Is it that the government does not have that money, or that what they do, or that capacity to go into that production of oil and other commodities?
Thank you. Temple, Port Harcourt, quickly, your question. We'll take Muriel and we'll come back to my guest before we wrap up.
Yes, I salute you, the very distinguished Femi Andrew.
All right, go ahead.
Doc, I celebrate you, sir. The very distinguished Femi Andrew. My question, in as much as docs has aligned a lot of factors, but some factors also need to be eliminated because they are not a major. They are no longer a major factor again. Like when you are inviting the Association of the Pure Water Factories and the bakers in charge of our bread we eat, the point they were hitting harder at that point in time was the issue of dollar, the high rate of dollar. And as at when this issue of the statement from Mr. President came on board, that skyrocketed the price of petrol. Some of them we are selling at a price of 850 naira per liter. All those things have to reduce. Why hasn't he at least taken a slight effect on the price of the commodities in the market? Most importantly, the producers of bread and pure water that was telling us that it was affecting the product that we are buying, the materials that we are buying.
All right,
today, how much is the price of dollar? So would it be about the idea at the time dollar was 1,000, they will come down to that same price as when they were selling before dollar come to 180, 1,900.
All right, Temple.
Thank you so much.
Muriel in Okrika, quickly, let's hear from you, straight to the point. We have very limited time.
This is Muriel. Look, I want to ask that your guest said that the government has been in somewhere. That's why the dollar is appreciating. I want to ask you these interventions, are they sustainable? And we cannot expect Nigerians to be patriotic.
Muriel, it's a bit difficult to hear you.
Hello?
It's a bit difficult to hear you, Muriel. Very difficult, unfortunately. But I think what you're trying to say is whether the policies or what government is doing now, is this sustainable? That's the first one. I think she was also saying something about we can't expect Nigerians to be patriotic. Perhaps she would be referring to because the government hasn't done some of the things that it should do to encourage that patriotism to work. We have about a minute before the commercial. I don't know how much you can respond. If we can respond to at least one or two of them when we come back from the break, we get more response.
The major thing there is the high dollarization of the Nigerian economy. This has given us the kind of nightmare we are in today. And you are aware, part of the direct government intervention which government has done now, one was to clamp down on the bureau de change. Two, they are also now arresting all the institutions that are paying and charging dollar in Nigeria. You see, people, I tell you, the Lagos economy is a dollar economy. I can tell you. And a lot need to be done in Lagos. Because almost all the transaction that is done in Lagos is in dollar. In Nigeria. So this is what we need to do. Just like they said, yes, custom may charge dollars because the activities custom does is both internal and external.
All right, Doc, hold it there. Let's take this commercial. We'll be back.
Madam, you don't try this new Lush Hair 4-in-1 no lie relaxer kit. We get free neutralizing.
Theme, Andrew. We have less than 2 minutes. I go to my guest, Doc. Let's quickly get your last reactions on the show in less than a minute now is what we have left. Even you already have said that the major problem is the dollarization of the economy, especially in Lagos, and much needs
dollarization of the economy and unpatriotic natures of Nigerians.
Because I was also asking you during the break, I mean, if we are going to look at, we have the cement industry where we have the natural resources, limestone is here, factory is here, raw material is here, nearness to raw material is here, everything. But still, it's been expensive for, I mean, coming to now where we are. And you're just saying it comes to the patriotism of Nigerians if we are going to solve all of these things. But tell us now, is there anything that the average Nigerian can do? Because, I mean, people are blaming the people who have the shops and saying that, you hear one of the callers say the pure water people. How do we then address those?
No, it's simple. We need people to manage this economy. This economy is not being managed by economists. This economy is being managed by other people who either pose themselves as economists or who has other interests in the economy. The other day, the president set up an economic theme. And I checked how many economists are there in that team. They're not there. So it's like you have a dying patient in the theater. And then the dying patient